At Thanksgiving dinner, my mother-in-law raised her glass and said, "She is not family, she's just the wife." Everyone laughed. So I stood up and served dessert with documents. That's when my husband dropped his fork. Thanksgiving was supposed to be warm, family, gratitude, togetherness. Instead, it felt like a courtroom where I was already guilty. My in-laws' house looked like something out of a magazine. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, a turkey so big it needed its own serving stand. Everyone had a seat, everyone had a role, and I had mine. I was just the wife. My mother-in-law sat at the head of the table, smiling like a queen who had already won. My father-in-law talked business numbers between bites. My sisters-in-law compared vacations I wasn't invited to. And my husband? He sat beside me, silent. When the wine started flowing, so did the comments. "She doesn't really work, does she?" "Oh no, she just helps here and there." "She's lucky. Some women marry into comfort." I smiled. That was my survival skill. Then my mother-in-law stood up and tapped her glass. "I just want to say," she laughed, "we're thankful for family, and of course," her eyes slid to me, "for the people who join us along the way. She's not really family yet, she's just the wife." Everyone laughed. Everyone except me. I looked at my husband. He didn't look back. Something inside me clicked. Not broke. Clicked. Because they didn't know what I knew. They didn't know that while they were laughing, the dessert was already in the oven. They didn't know that the quiet woman they dismissed had spent years reading contracts instead of arguing. They didn't know that every insult had been carefully recorded, not emotionally, but legally. I stood up slowly and smiled. "Dessert's almost ready," I said. "I just need a minute." My mother-in-law waved me off like a servant. "Take your time, sweetheart." So I did. In the kitchen, I opened a folder I'd been carrying all evening. Thick, organized, labeled. I looked at my reflection in the oven glass and whispered, "You asked for this." When I walked back into the dining room, no one noticed at first, because they were still laughing. And that's when I placed the first plate down. Not with pie, with documents. The room went quiet, not all at once, but like dominoes falling. One plate, then another, then another. Each guest had an envelope under their dessert fork. My mother-in-law frowned. "What is this?" I stayed standing. "These," I said calmly, "are copies. The originals are already filed." My husband finally looked at me. His face had no color. I explained slowly, the way lawyers do when the truth hurts. Years ago, when the family business was struggling, I stepped in. Not publicly, quietly. I handled restructuring. I negotiated contracts. I found investors who trusted me, not the family name. For tax efficiency, his parents' favorite excuse, everything was put in my husband's name. And for protection, I had documents drafted, prenum addendums, shareholder agreements, trust ownership transfers. My father-in-law flipped through the pages. His hands started shaking. My mother-in-law laughed nervously. "This is a joke." "It's not. Page 3. Her smile died. Because page 3 showed the truth. I controlled the trust. I controlled the voting shares. And without my signature, the company collapsed. I was never just the wife, I continued. I was the firewall. My sister-in-law whispered, "Oh my God." My husband stood up. "Why are you doing this now?" I looked at him for a long time. "Because tonight," I said, "you chose silence." My mother-in-law tried to speak, then tried to stand, but sat back down when she realized her knees wouldn't hold her. "I kept quiet for years," I said, "because I was patient." The turkey sat untouched. The gravy went cold. I placed the final envelope in front of my mother-in-law. "This one," I said softly, "explains what happens if I walk away." She didn't open it. She didn't need to, because she already knew. No one ate dessert. My husband followed me into the hallway, his voice low and panicked. "We can fix this." I shook my head. "You had years to fix this. Tonight was just the result." Behind us, my mother-in-law was crying, real tears this time, not for me, for control. She tried one last time. "We didn't mean it that way," she said. "Your family." I turned around. Family doesn't say just the wife. Family doesn't laugh. I picked up my coat. "I won't be at Christmas," I added, "or the next Thanksgiving." My husband asked, "What do you want?" I smiled, not kindly. "I already have it." I left the house while they argued behind me, voices cracking, power shifting. They kept the house. They kept the table. They kept the turkey. I kept the company, the leverage, and my dignity. Later that night, my phone buzzed with messages I didn't answer, because the story was already over, and for the first time in years, I was truly thankful.